will remain stable, and we will not have another drop in the connection. In the meantime, please feel free, whatever is on your mind. We're still taking your calls on 876 922 4112 to 5. 876 922 4112 to 5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876 365 3346. 876 365 3346. Let's go back to, in fact, we're going to share with you a couple of the stories coming out of the United States. After all, it is election day in the USA. And there's a story trending on the Gleaner's website, which is urging Caribbean people, West Indians, Jamaicans, to go out and vote. Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaner's website, go-jamaica.com. To our listeners in the diaspora, have you voted today? You don't have to tell us who you voted for, but have you voted? Did you go out and vote? There's a story trending in the Gleaner. The Brooklyn Democratic Party chair, who is this now? Let's go up a bit more and bring this in detail. So the story is Caribbean legislators urge community to cast ballots in U.S. midterm elections. Caribbean American legislators are urging voters in the community to exercise their franchise and cast ballots today during the important United States midterm elections. Early voting data shows that Democratic voter turnout has been strong in Brooklyn and New York City. And although there are some unusually tight races, including the gubernatorial race, we are confident that even more Democrats will show up on election day to keep Brooklyn, New York City, and New York State blue, said Brooklyn Democratic Party Chair and New York State Assembly woman Rodney's Bishop Hermelin. Brooklyn led the 5 boroughs in early voting turnout, and overall early voting was higher than the 2021 general election and mayoral election, Bishop Hermelin, the daughter of Haitian immigrants, told the Caribbean Media Corporation. Bishop Hermelin, the representative for the 42nd Assembly District in Brooklyn, is on today's ballot but is unopposed. As the nation's largest Democratic county party, we are well aware of our vital role and responsibility in engaging our party for these pivotal midterm elections and have been relentlessly getting out the vote through rallies, events, digital outreach, and going door to door to every corner of the borough, Bishop Hermelin added. The Brooklyn Democratic Party chair is also urging Caribbean and other voters to cast ballots for key proposals, which would amend New York State Constitution if passed. These proposals are for clean water, clean air, and green jobs, Environmental Bond Act of 2022, that would allow for state bonds to be sold to fund environmental projects. New York City public advocate Jumani Williams, the son of Grenadian immigrants, is also urging voters in New York to flip the ballot to weigh in on critical racial justice proposals. It's possible there's never been a more important time to make our voices heard with our votes. The three citywide proposals on the ballot this November could make a real, direct, tangible difference in how our city takes on systematic injustices. But New Yorkers need to show up and vote on them. When you go to the polls, remember to flip the ballot, he told CMC. If these proposals pass, we will be able to move towards an equitable and just city. This will bring new opportunities to those who have disproportionately been negatively impacted for generations. New York State Assemblywoman Monique Chandler Waterman, the daughter of Jamaican and Barbadian immigrants who represents the 58th Assembly District, has been urging Caribbean and other residents to go out and vote today. Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, the daughter of Jamaican immigrants, is also appealing to the Caribbean community to vote in today's midterm elections. And the story goes on. So that's how members of the Caribbean community, Caribbean legislators, have been seeking to mobilize the voters of Caribbean heritage, Caribbean roots. Let's see what we will see later on this evening. Velta Wilson says, I'm not sure what's happening on Facebook. We're not sure either, but Facebook is up and running again, Velta Wilson. Sorry about that. Not sure. One of those things, some quirk in the system, perhaps. Here is a message from one of our listeners in North Carolina. She says, I voted from Friday in Raleigh, North Carolina. More power to you in Raleigh, North Carolina. Thank you for that update. And if there are others who have voted and would like to tell us about it, not to tell us who you voted for. We're not interested in that. That's your free choice. But in general terms, get a sense of the process and whether you voted early and what you noticed at the polling stations, etc. Patrick Howell says, Dervan, let me say a special prayer for my sister, Mrs. Enith Blackwood, Bibi, who is not feeling well. God is still healing today. By all means, Patrick Howell, go ahead and whisper a prayer for your sister, Mrs. Enith Blackwood, otherwise known as Bibi, who is not feeling well today. And as you say here, God is still healing today, and especially for those who are not feeling well. We hope you will get better soon. In the meantime, let's continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story. We see Velta Wilson returning to Facebook Live. Good to have you back on Facebook Live, Velta Wilson. Thank you very much. Now let's see what CNN has been reporting as far as election day in the USA is concerned. A quick scan of how those developments are unfolding. America heads to the polls for today's pivotal midterms. When have they never been pivotal? And there's a lot to cover. There's a lot to cover. CNN political director. Uh, there's a story here that we're trying to bring up that relates to how the election is being covered as the data comes in. This story is not loading at the moment, so we're going to move on. Let's see. All right, let's do this and see now. All right, so this is a detailed update on what's been happening so far. As we said, well, America votes. Voters are heading to the polls across the country to elect federal and state leaders in the midterm elections. Voters are also weighing in on key ballot initiatives. What's at stake? The control of both chambers of Congress is on the line, with all 435 House seats and 35 of the 100 Senate seats up for grabs. So that's 435 House seats are on the line, 435 House seats, as in those who sit in the House of Representatives, known as the Congress. 435 House seats and 35 of the 100 Senate seats are up for grabs, plus dozens of governorships, secretaries of state, or to pluralize state as well, secretaries of states, because it makes sense here, and attorneys general are also on the ballot. So, as far as the House race ratings are concerned, it's a lot of data to go through. A lot of data. CNN's Election Center uses race ratings for all 435 House seats by Inside Elections with Nathan L. Gonzalez. Every 2 years, all 435 House seats are on the ballot. Democrats currently control 220 out of 435 U.S. House seats, while Republicans control 212 seats with 3 vacancies. And to control the U.S. House of Representatives, a party must hold at least 218 seats out of 435 when all seats are filled. Based on race ratings by Inside Elections, Republicans are currently favored to win 216 seats this November, while Democrats are favored to win 199 seats. 20 seats are currently rated as toss ups. So that's an indication of how CNN is reporting on these elections. More than 45, let me see here. Right, more than 45 million pre election ballots have already been cast in 47 states. Pre election voting has been ahead of 2018 levels in states where data is available for the last 3 cycles. Election day going smoothly in Wisconsin is one of the stories trending. States, that's according to the voting chief in that state. Election day voting in Wisconsin is going smoothly without any significant problems. And as of Tuesday morning, voters had requested about 815,000 absentee ballots and returned about 742,000 of them, including about 318,000 in person absentee ballots. Right wing internet quickly spreads video from Maricopa County in Arizona, a video of an election official explaining a problem with vote tabulations outside a polling location in Maricopa County, Arizona, earlier this morning is spreading on social media, clocking up millions of views. The video, which was posted by a Republican activist, has already been viewed more than 2.5 million times on Twitter. The clip is largely being amplified by right wing personalities, some of whom are claiming without evidence that the machine issues are a sign of fraud. VP Harris stops at an LA restaurant with Democratic mayoral candidate Karen Bass on election day. Vice President Kamala Harris and second gentleman Doug Emhoff stopped at John O'Groats restaurant on election day, joining Los Angeles mayoral candidate Representative Karen Bass to greet diners inside. Voting hours extended at 2 Georgia precincts after delayed openings. That's another of the stories trending on CNN as their election coverage continues. We'll tell you more after the break.
They have been satisfying your needs for dress shoes, school shoes, athletic shoes, and work shoes for over 50 years with 5 corporate era stores located downtown and King Street, Sovereign Village in Portmore, Premier Plaza Midtown, Boulevard Supercenter in Pembroke Hall, and Cumberland Road in Spanish Town, and their new online store, SamIsJA.com. They'll be here for another 50 years to meet your footwear needs. Sam is the shoe people. The Agro Investment Corporation, an agency under the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, is proud to be a supporter of this year's 24th staging of the Minute Livestock Show and Beef Festival. The corporation will continue to play a significant role in the growth of agriculture by providing the local cattle industry with premium breeding stock of Jamaica Black, Red Pole, and Brahman from the Minute Estates Farm to ensure that Jamaica's livestock production is safer, cleaner, and better. Agro Invest, facilitating agribusiness investments.
Farmers, come for a candid conversation with the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, the Honorable Pernell Charles Jr. Learn more about the agricultural sector and the role we all play with its development. That's a Morning with the Minister, every second and fourth Friday of every month during Farm Talk with Pastor Lindsay.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program. Both sides of the story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Just running through some of the stories coming out of the United States, more precisely via CNN on voting so far right across the country. Going to the break, we referenced voting hours extended at 2 Georgia precincts after delayed openings. The voting hours at 2 precincts in Cobb County, Georgia, were extended by a state court judge after the election sites opened later than expected this morning. Also trending, poll workers in Michigan report higher voter turnout than expected, official says. 2 Georgia poll workers removed after social media posts show them at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. And these are the states where mail-in ballots must be received or postmarked by election day. And this is outlined uh, in 8 US states, voters are sent a mail in ballot automatically. Across the US, more than half of states require that mail in ballots be received by election day workers. In 19 states, ballots can be counted if they are postmarked on or before election day. So, those are some of the stories. Top Senate races in 2022 have seen a staggering amount of spending. The 5 most expensive Senate races of 2022 have seen nearly $1.3 billion in spending across the primary and general elections, according to Open Secrets, a staggering sum that speaks to the massive amounts of money flooding the political system. Leading the way is the Pennsylvania Senate race, where Democratic Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman and Republican Dr. Mehmet Oz are squaring off in the general election. All told, nearly $375 million has been spent on the race this cycle. Here's how the other races in the top 5 stack up in terms of total spending. Pennsylvania, $373,605,258. Georgia, $271,351,786. Arizona, $234,577,515. Wisconsin, $205,791,615. And Ohio, $202,117,075. So that is the kind of information that will always spur discussions in relation to vote buying and the general role of money and other resources in any election anywhere in the world. 37% of active Georgia voters had cast their ballot early, according to an election official. Poll workers keep voting lines moving across the U.S. 4 polling places in North Carolina that had opening delays may have their closing times extended. Wall Street braces for midterm results, but inflation report may be bigger deal. An official has said there's no indication of fraud after tabulation issue in Arizona's Maricopa County causes social media stir. We shared that story, another side to that story earlier on. Let's go to the phone lines, 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Are you there? Hello? All right, let's move on. 876-922-4112-5. The numbers to call. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. Miss Pearl has taken a picture of what she is baking. She has something in the oven here. That's very kind of you to share with us, Miss Pearl. I think I see raisins. Let's find out what she's baking. So she says, Sir D, I am in my kitchen listening to you and making a breadfruit pudding. Breadfruit from off my tree that I planted. God is truly amazing. I planted, I watered, God let it grow. Now I have so many to give away. I pray for that lady. I pray for that lady. Oh, that's, who was that again? That's Howell. Patrick Howell, sister, who he was saying, let me say a special prayer for my sister, Mrs. Enith Blackwood, otherwise known as Bibi, who is not feeling well today. God is still healing today, says Patrick Howell. And he says, Brother Dervan, I send greetings to my cousin, Mr. Burchell McPherson, the Roman Catholic bishop from Montego Bay. God's blessings, my cousin. And so Miss Pearl is also conveying uh, blessings to Miss Bibi or Bibi, Mrs. Enith Blackwood. So she says, Miss Pearl says, I pray for that lady. God still in the healing business. Just one more time, dear God. Be blessed, Sir D. Thank you very much, Miss Pearl, and thanks for sharing this picture of your breadfruit pudding in the making in the oven. Well done. All the very best. Let's move on. 876-922-4112 are the numbers to call. Text line, same as the WhatsApp number. Good afternoon to Melvi. Where's Melvi again? Melvi's in California. Did you go out to vote? Melvi, where is he again? He's in California. We're in California. Melvi in, I believe, is it San Diego, California? I think it's San Diego. Good afternoon to Ricardo, who's shouting out everybody. But Melvi, please let us know if you actually went out to vote or you voted early, etc. We don't want to know who you vote for. That is your prerogative. But feel free to message us. Patrick Howell says, please tell Miss Pearl that I need a breadfruit, but I am in Old Harbor. Well, Patrick Howell, you're going to have to work that out with Miss Pearl. You're going to have to work that out with Miss Pearl. But I'm sure she will gladly give you a breadfruit. Thank you very much for your message. 876-922-4112 and there's just an unending flow of stories coming out of the United States of America because it's election day in America, and we'll keep you posted as the afternoon wears on. 876-224-11225. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Good afternoon. I am giving thanks for life, and you? Happy to hear that. Thank you. Uh-huh. Yes. Yeah, but it's still a democracy. It is still, and therefore, I mean, there is we can always expect certain results depending on what's happening or not happening. But democracy still has to do what democracy. Yes, it has to take its course. Yes, yes. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, there's a reason why we share that kind of information, and that should be quite obvious. Just so that yes. Uh, no problem, man. No problem. I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. Right. Uh, you mean today? Today? Oh, that's a speech by President Abraham Lincoln on the 19th of November, 1963. Yeah, yeah, yes, 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 it is. Yeah, yes. Oh,